Overbrook Station is a SEPTA regional rail station on the Powley-Thorndale line, located near 63rd Street and City Line Avenue, US 1, in the Overbrook neighborhood of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It serves many of the residents of Overbrook Farms and the suburban neighborhoods across City Avenue in neighboring Montgomery County, as well as St. Joseph's University and Talmudical Yeshiva of Philadelphia. Overbrook has 2 low-level side platforms with pathways connecting the platforms to the inner tracks. The current station building was constructed around 1860 on the inbound, eastbound, side. The station, platforms, and canopies were restored from 1999 to 2003 in a $9.1 million project. A smaller shelter serves westbound passengers. Amtrak served Overbrook with some westbound Keystone service trips until 1987. The Bud Silverliner was a model of electric multiple-unit railcar designed and built by the Bud Company, with 59 examples being delivered starting in 1963. 55 of the cars were purchased for the Reading and Pennsylvania railroads with public funds for use in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Area commuter rail service, with the remaining 4 cars being purchased by USDOT for use in high-speed rail experiments in 1965. Based on a series of 6 prototype Pioneer 3 cars built in 1958. The Silverliners represented the first production order of modern commuter MU equipment purchased by either railroad and earned their name from their unpainted stainless steel construction, which contrasted with the painted carbon steel bodies of the pre-war MU fleets. The cars became a fixture of SEPTA regional rail service, providing the name to their entire series of EMU railcars before finally being retired in 2012 after 49 years in service.
On November 4th, 2009, a Bud Superliner car number a morning SEPTA train was headed for Thorndale to Center City. All the Bud Superliner cars consisting of 257. The journey was going well. But then, passengers smelled something burning, kind of like burning trash. Then smoke began to appear from car 257. Rearing a fire, the engine had stopped at Overbrook, and passengers got off. The train managed to get that far, but it would not reach its final destination. The smoke got worse, and the driver made an emergency stop, and everyone evacuated from the train.
The train then stopped and all the passengers on the train got off, Boyd said. The whole front car was black and melting, she said, adding that flames leaked out of the windows. It was incredible. Service on the R5 and R6CYNWYD lines was suspended west of Suburban Station for 2 hours because of the blaze. The fire also disrupted Amtrak service between Philadelphia and Harrisburg until 8:30 a.m. The city's Office of Emergency Management arranged for school buses to transport stranded passengers to Suburban Station. Heather Durkee of the city's Overbrook Farms section was the last passenger to board the ill-fated R5 train at the Overbrook station. I went running through to tunnel to get onto the train, said Durkee, who teaches design at the Charter High School for Architecture and Design in Center City. The conductor urged her to hurry because the train was about to leave. Durkee scrambled aboard the last car and found herself standing next to the conductor, who was holding his walkie-talkie as the train pulled out. She felt it lurching repeatedly. I thought, that's weird. But there's a huge amount of people on this train. Maybe the bodies are making it do that, Durkee said. Then she detected an odd odor. All of a sudden it smelled funny, she said. You could smell this burning of brakes or whatever. And then all of a sudden the train stops. And then I heard on the walkie-talkie, Overbrook Station. Overbrook Station. Fire and smoke. Fire and smoke. Durkee got off without incident and saw a car up front on fire. There were literally billows of smoke coming out and flames, she said. She saw some passengers jumping out of windows. Durkee found one of her colleagues, Andrew Phillips of Narberth, in the train stopped behind hers. When they learned no trains would be moving for some time, Durkee called her husband, who works in Center City. Phillips used the GPS on his Apple iPhone to figure out their location. And they walked to a Lowe's at Lancaster Avenue and 52nd Street, where Durkee's husband picked them up. They arrived at the charter school at 6th and Sansom Street shortly at 8:45 a.m. Peter Kim, 39, of East Fallowfield, who was headed to work at Independence Blue Cross, was in the second car. The smoke started coming into the second car, he said. The biggest issue I had was the conductor walked by and no one told us to get off. Jim Cade, 61, was at work at his auto body shop on Lancaster Avenue when he heard noise and commotion outside his building. He said he saw an ocean of fire trucks, flames, and smoke pouring from the train, and dazed passengers with their briefcases, suits and high heels making their way down the track. The scene looked like part of a disaster movie, Cade said. The passengers were more so in bewilderment of what to do, said Cade. Nobody was hysterical. Everyone was peaceful. He said many were already on cell phones trying to figure out what to do next and how to get to work or back home. They were halfway to nowhere, he said. More than 5,000 members of SEPTA's largest union walked off the job early Tuesday, leaving thousands of people struggling for ways to get around. I can't take the whole strike off, said Nikki Legrone, 27, a Catholic school teacher in North Philadelphia, as she prepared to take regional rail as far as it goes and then walk 1.5 miles to school. I'm going to have to show up. Hopefully, I can find somebody when I get into work to help me out. The Philadelphia School District reported a 16% drop in high school attendance Wednesday. On an average weekday, about 54,000 public and parochial students take SEPTA to school. At the J.R. Masterman High School, Robin Carpenter unloaded a bicycle from his father's car so he could make the 7-mile ride home in the afternoon. I do ride my bike sometimes, but not during cross-country season, he said, adding that the strike was an inconvenience. It's too tiring. Scrambling to get kids to school. Karen Pollock scrambled to find ways to get her 16 and 13-year-old daughters to and from their respective schools. Pollock lives in the city's Germantown section and left about 15 minutes earlier to drop off her younger daughter at Masterman. Her husband dropped off their older daughter at a school about 5 miles from home. Getting them home could be a challenge, though, since her older daughter usually takes SEPTA. Now, she's going to walk the 15 or so blocks to her sister's school and hopefully find a spot in that carpool, if there's room. It was a little stressful last night, Pollock said. It's going to be day-to-day. SEPTA spokesman Richard Maloney said investigators are trying to determine the cause of the regional rail fire but have no reason to think it was suspicious. It was likely an electrical fire that started at the front of the train, Maloney said. Flames could be seen shooting from the front of the train shortly after 7 a.m. A big cloud of smoke also billowed from the train. No injuries were reported. Wayne Rafferty, 27, of Pottstown, a lab technician at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, said he had to calm down another passenger on the packed train, and he saw other passengers kicking out the removable emergency windows. Once outside the train, he took a picture of the front of it with flames and smoke. I already texted in the photos to my boss. I said this was my train, he said. He said he'll see me when he sees me, so I'm going to start making the hike. Rafferty estimated that it would take about an hour to walk to his workplace. Main issue is pensions. The sudden strike by Transport Workers Union Local 234 has all but crippled the system, which averages more than 928,000 trips each weekday. The union walked away from negotiations on a new contract over disagreements on wage, pension, and health care issues. Union President Willie Brown said the main issue is pensions. My members stand strongly behind me. Brown said a news conference Wednesday, adding that he hopes to meet with Governor Ed Rendell in the next day or two. Even though we did not want to strike, we were forced into a strike. Some riders said they weren't feeling much compassion. I know I make less than they do, so I'm not that sympathetic right now, Legrone said. 4% wage hike. Union workers, who earn an average of $52,000 a year, are seeking an annual 4% wage hike and want to keep the current 1% contribution they make toward the cost of health care coverage. Their contract expired in March. SEPTA was offering an 11.5% wage increase over 5 years, with a $1,250 signing bonus in the first year, and increases in workers' pensions, Maloney said. The strike also affects buses that serve the suburbs in Bucks, Montgomery, and Chester counties. A 2005 SEPTA strike lasted 7 days, while a 1998 transit strike lasted for 40 days. The strike forced some employers to scramble, too. Cisco Navarro, 41, a part-time night clerk at the UPS distribution facility in South Philadelphia, got to work via a patchwork bus system that UPS set up by hiring bus companies. His biggest challenge, he said, was getting the buses to stop. Employees have to show company IDs to get on the bus. But drivers can't tell who is a UPS employee from a distance, and sometimes, he said, they don't stop. "You're waving your arms," he said, adding that he has now borrowed a UPS hat. "I need to bring cheerleaders."
But that wasn't the only time a SEPTA train is called for. In 2018, a train stopped at Glenside Station. Maybe I'll do a documentary on that in the future, but it's been 16 years since the accident, and hopefully we never see another SEPTA train on fire ever again.